Good to go. Well, welcome to Ramblings of a Fool. This is Saturday, June 22nd?
21.
So this is Saturday, June 21, correct. And here in the Gulf of Thailand, off of Koh Kram, number of boats. Not a bad day. It's a rainy season, but it hasn't rained yet. That's pretty good. I got some friends here with me today. I've got the United Nations. I've got Canada. I've got Thailand. I've got Laos. I've got the Philippines. What can I say? You know, I didn't invite Donald Trump nor Vladimir Putin. So we're here for a good time. And I got a couple topics today, sort of wide-ranging, but interesting just to boot. One of them is not my personal experience. It's an experience that my son told me about this past week, and I thought it was quite interesting. He lives in Canada. He lives in Quebec, but that's still part of Canada. They haven't voted themselves out yet, and if you live in Canada, then you know about Canadian Tire. Canadian Tire is like this iconic store where you can buy just about everything. You can get your car serviced there. You know, it's got everything. Camping, tools, the whole 9 yards. And it's like iconic. And every Canadian, knows Canadian Tire. And my son is a self-professed Canadian Tire junkie. So if he can buy something at Canadian Tire, he will buy it from Canadian Tire, regardless. So he's a good customer. And I guess a couple weeks ago, he went to the Canadian Tire, and he wanted to buy himself a disposal bin that you screw in on a bracket on a wall or a door, which seems fairly straightforward. So he said he was went to his local Canadian Tire and goes down the aisles and finds the refuse, the garbage bins, and in past experience, when he's bought things from time to time, when he gets them home, he opens the box and finds hardware's missing, nuts are missing, bolts are missing, screws are missing. So he finds the exact item he wants, and then he proceeds to open the box to make sure that the hardware is inside the box, which is fairly logical. I mean, I don't see a problem with it. And while he's doing that, one of the store employees comes up to him and says, "Excuse me, sir, where are you from?" And I'm like, well, that's a pretty silly question to ask the guy. Where are you from? Okay, they're close to the U.S. border, but I mean, really, where are you from? So he says, well, I'm just, I'm from the village here. The guy says, so what are you doing? And he says, I want to buy this garbage bin with the bracket. He says, I'm just checking to, make sure it's got all the hardware inside. And the guy says, well, of course it's got all the hardware inside. I mean, why would we sell it without the hardware? And he was like, oh, well, from time to time, I have purchased things and the hardware isn't there, so I thought I would just check before I got it home. At which point the guy says, oh, so you've damaged our product in the store. And he's like, well, no, I just opened the box to see if the hardware was inside. At which point the guy says, sir, you need to leave the store. And he walks my son out of the store. Now, it's not, to say it's a store is not, it's like, it's a huge store. It's like, I don't know, Walmart size. I mean, they're big, huh? Walks my son out of the store. Sir, you need to leave the store. Now, he tells me this story, and I was like, oh my God. I said, maybe the guy got, fired from TSA, the Transport Safety Authority. Maybe he used to be working at the airport and he forgot what, was going on in his head. I don't know what it was, but. So now my son says, buddy, he says, that's okay. He said, Dad, he said, they've got an email address. I contacted head office, customer service, blah, blah, blah. Told them what happened. And I'm like, okay, fair enough, what happened? Well, they contacted me back and they asked me what I wanted. Do I want some free gift or some? And he's like, no, I don't want anything. I just want you to have this information to maybe try to improve, right? And I was like, wow. So then he says, well, I'm not going there anymore. I'm not shopping Canadian Tire anymore. They're not getting my business. You know, I'll drive 50 kilometers to Home Hardware to buy something from them before I spend another nickel at that Canadian Tire. And I'm like, well, that's pretty righteous. I mean, that's the right thing to do. You know, fuck them. Unfortunately, when you think about it, they're not going to miss that one customer. They're not going to miss them at all. Their business isn't going to drop. In fact, that Home Hardware where he's going to, some poor customer may have had the same or similar customer service experience and has told Home Hardware to go pound salt. And now he's driving 50 kilometers to the Canadian Tire to buy his shit. So no one suffers. Canadian Tire doesn't suffer. Home Hardware doesn't suffer. The only thing that suffers in this scenario is the environment. Because now we're adding 50 kilometers of, greenhouse gas emissions to the planet. Because one or possibly two people, or maybe more, have had bad service experiences. And now as a result, are sticking it to them by driving somewhere else. The fact of the matter is, they aren't sticking it to anybody. The Canadian Tire doesn't doesn't care. Home Hardware doesn't care, because they're just going to recycle customers, and the greenhouse gases are going to continue to get emitted into the environment, and and I've done the same. I get the shits with some place that's very convenient to me, and so I drive 20 kilometers to go somewhere else. I'm never shopping there again. Fuck them, We got to rethink our priorities. Anyway, I'm going to finish this glass of wine, and I'll come back with another story, this is not a story, it's more of a commentary. And I think it's pretty interesting. So, stay tuned. Okay, I'm back again. Part 2. This is going to be like I said, it's not a true story. It's more my personal reflections and opinion. I'm sure many of my followers, all 33 of them, are familiar with the website called LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is I think it was originally set up to sort of be like a networking site for professionals to talk about work and then to network. To network. Maybe look at job opportunities, but also, promote their business, how they're doing, good events, everything, blah, blah, blah. And it is morphed over time into basically, it's one of two things now, as far as I can see. Number one, it's a recruiting website, because a lot of people post jobs on LinkedIn, and that's fine. And number two, it's a website for recruiters to whinge, to post, their messages and whinge about their business. And I think 90% of every posting on LinkedIn now is some recruiter on there whinging about either some prospective employee or some employer that's hired them that's, not treating the process correctly, or, some employee that, that had a shitty interview and didn't follow their advice. And it's overwhelmed with recruiters posting these stories. And sometimes I don't even think it's their own thoughts. I think they probably just, complain on LinkedIn in some AI site, and then it just gives them a paragraph and a half of stuff to whinge about. And it's really quite annoying. And the other part is, if one guy, like let's say one guy in the US, one recruiter in the US posts some story whinging about either some candidate or some company that hired him, you'll find like 100 fellow recruiters will like the post, right? They're like, yay, good, yeah, that's the problem, yay. And it's like, fuck off. I mean, really. So it's my time to talk on LinkedIn, on YouTube. And this is about recruiting, the recruiting industry in general. Now, before I make my comment, I will grant you this. I haven't spent like weeks or months researching my thesis. I spent maybe a day and a half, maybe a few hours at the pub under the influence of alcohol. But I still have not convinced myself that I'm wrong. And here's my point. The recruiting industry is the most conflicted industry that I can think of. The biggest conflict of interest of any sort of service is recruiters. Now you think about this. I hire a real estate agent to sell my home, right? He works for me, I pay him. The more money I sell my home for, the more money he makes. But the more money I make. So that's not a conflict whatsoever. He tries to push for a higher sell price. He wins, I win. No problem. Car salesman. The car salesman gets paid a commission based on how much I pay for the car. The more he can sell the car for, the more the dealership makes, who's paying him, the more he makes. No conflict whatsoever. Now let's talk about the recruiting industry. The recruiting industry. I'm the customer. I'm the employer. I hire the recruiter to find me an employee. He gets paid based on how much salary I agree to pay the prospective employee. So if that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. Because he makes more money, or they or she makes more money if they convince me to pay the employee more money. But wait a second. He works for me. The guy I hired to find me somebody that can do my job that I need gets paid more money based on convincing me to pay the prospective employee more money. I mean, how much more conflicted can that be? I mean, it's when you actually think about it, it's I'm not going to say corrupt. It's a standard practice, but it's fundamentally wrong. It is fundamentally wrong. Now, what's fundamentally right is for a recruiting company to come to me and say, okay, look, Keith, you know, you want to hire, say, a CFO. Yeah, I want to hire a CFO. Okay, you know, the market, this is the market range of salaries. And I said, well, okay, let's negotiate what the range is. And based on that range, I pay him a lump sum fee to find me the best candidate. Now, there's no conflict whatsoever. He's getting paid a lump sum of money to do my job. And my job that I've given him is to find me the best candidate. Full stop. Full stop. If that candidate ends up costing me 10% more than the range we discussed, so be it. His motivation is based on finding me the best candidate. Not find me the best candidate that we can charge the most amount of salary so I can maximize my commission. It is just fundamentally wrong. And listen, it doesn't cost me anything. I'm not a business owner. I don't have to pay this. I'm a neutral, just a neutral observant after, being in the workforce for like 40 years, working with, and I am not here to complain about recruiters. I've met some fabulous people, some really good recruiters, but I think the business model is fundamentally corrupt. Fundamentally corrupt. When I'm paying a recruiter to do a job for me, and he's there trying to convince me that I need to pay more salary to get a guy, and I might have to pay more salary to get a guy, but I sure as hell would like to feel comfortable in the fact that that guy that I paid to find that guy is not going to make more money off of me by convincing me that I have to pay more salary to the hire. Because, that's just, it's wrong. And, and this is what annoys me, because, you see these recruiters on LinkedIn again about talking about, these employers are not, they're not legitimate, they're not sincere, they're not good, and employees, they lie on their resumes, and they, show up for interviews without a tie on. And guys, look in the mirror, because what you do, your business model is fundamentally wrong, and it's not acceptable. And there is going to come a time, and someone's going to come along with a new business model, and it's going to blow you out of the water. It's going to blow you out of the water. It's no different than the guy in the U.S. with the online pharmacy, the guy that owned the Dallas Mavericks. Something's going to change this. Something's going to change this industry, and you're either going to react, survive, or not, and fail. And I think the first guy that does it, I'm telling you what companies won't tell you, because I don't care. But that's a fact. And I'm done. Appreciate everyone watching. Look at all 34 of my fellow viewers. Pass this on. Forward this link to a recruiter friend and let them watch my video. I'll even put my email in the bottom if I knew how to do that. And they could talk to me directly. This is Buddy, what is it, Scotch from Scotland?
Scotland Highland.
Go figure. Scotch from Scotland. And it's not Glenfiddich, it's Glen...
Class.
So Glenfiddich got drunk one night and talking to his friend, and he said, I got Glenfiddich. What is it called again?
Glencar Class.
What he said. So cheers. This video will be uploaded as soon as I'm sober. Probably a month. I'm not sure. That's right, blow the whistle. Time's up. Cheers.